Hello and good evening students, and welcome back to Global Online Platform. This is Chandni Swarnkar, and today we are going to cover 30 questions from Maharashtra SET 2021 paper. Okay, so as you all know that we are discussing Maharashtra SET 2021 paper set 1, of course, right? So as we have already covered 30 questions, we are going to cover 30 more of them. So one more thing I need to tell you is that you can get my lectures at 9 p.m. on a daily basis. Now let's start with the first question. Not the first question, of course, we have already covered 30 of them. So we are going to start with question number 31. Okay. So the relationship between signified and signified is I'm sorry. Okay, so you need to understand here that signified and signified is related to which theorist. Okay, so it's very easy, and first you need to understand that signified and signified is related to Ferdinand de Saussure. Okay, and only one thing that he said: the relationship between signified and signified is arbitrary. What? Arbitrary. Okay, so the other options are voluntary, involuntary, imaginary. Of course, these are not the correct options. So the first one is the correct, and you need to choose that. Okay, now you need to understand signified and signified, so you can get you can watch my lectures. Okay, so now question number 32. Who is the author of the Theatre of the Absurd? Who is the author of the Theatre of the Absurd? Of course, Theatre of the Absurd is a term we usually use to fit a particular work into a particular genre. Of course, it's a kind of a genre, but here you need to answer that who is the author of the Theatre of the Absurd. Let me tell you the options. Albert Camus, Franz Kafka, Henrik Ibsen, or Martin Esslin. Okay? Okay, so the correct answer is Martin Esslin, and of course he wrote a work, The Theatre of the Absurd, in 1960. Okay, so you need to understand, or not even understand, you need to remember this year. Okay, so 1960. Now let's cover question number 33. Memoir Club of 1920 was originally centered on two daughters of. So for answering this type of question, you need to understand the story, the plot line, and also the characters. Okay, so here you need to answer about Memoir Club. Now here, basically, Memoir Club originally centered on Leslie Stephen. Okay, Leslie Stephen's two daughters who were they? Virginia, was not Virginia Woolf, of course, and Verena. Okay, so these two daughters. So you can got the answer. Leslie Stephen is the correct answer. Okay. Now moving on to the question number 34. Shropshire Tales are authored by. Who is the writer of Shropshire Tales? You need to answer that. The options are A.G. Street, Adrian Bell, Mary Webb, and Richard Eldington. Okay. Think about it. If you know, that's great. If you don't know, I'm going to let you know that. Okay, so the correct answer is Mary Webb, and the full title of Mary Webb is Mary Gladys Webb. Okay, and it's set basically in the Shropshire countryside. Okay, so the setting is Shropshire countryside. Okay, so it's a kind of a city. Now, correct answer is C, of course. Now moving on to the next question. The title of T.F. Poe's Mr. Weston's Good Wine, a novelistic allegory, was taken from. So there is a reference of a particular work, and you need to answer a very similar allegory. Okay, from where the allegory was taken from, or the title was taken from. You need to answer that. So the options are Jane Eyre, Emma, Wuthering Heights, and Sense and Sensibility. It's very easy to identify, because if you have read Jane Austen's work, you need to understand that Emma is the correct answer. Where there's a chapter 15, okay, chapter 15, where Mr. Weston is a character, and she believed he had been drinking too much of Mr. Weston's good wine, okay, and felt sure that he would want to be talking nonsense, okay, and that was, of course, from there the title has been taken from. So Mr. Weston's good wine, a novelistic allegory, was taken from, of course, from Emma, and the particular title was Mr. Weston, okay. Now moving on to question number 36. The Open Boat is a story written by. The Open Boat is a story written by. So whether it's Ernest Hemingway, Stephen Crane, Willa Cather, or John Updike. So, of course, it's a short story and it was published in 1897, and the correct option is Stephen Crane. Stephen Crane is the author or writer of this particular short story, The Open Boat, okay? Open Boat. Now, Rohinton Mysteries, A Fine Balance. Let me tell you, you need to understand a fine balance very deeply here, because even if you're preparing for NET or SET or any kind of SET, not only of Maharashtra SET, if you're preparing for any SET, you need to understand a fine balance in a deep way. The publishing year, the characters, okay? Now the question is asking about the fine balance set, the setting, okay? So you need to answer that. Now before that, before answering the question, let me tell you, it's a Rohinton Mystery's second novel. Which novel? Second novel. And of course, it is set an unidentified city, because in Wikipedia there's that, like, Wikipedia mentioned it and the author also mentioned it, but still you'll get the glimpses of Bombay. Okay, so if they're asking about particular places with names, you'll have to answer Bombay here. Okay, so the question number 37 answer is B, Bombay. Now moving on to the question number 38. A dialect other than the standard or literary dialect is called. Okay, so the options are pastiche, potpourri, medley, and patois. Medley is a kind of word that more often used in music, and it's a mixture of two to three different things, okay, that you need to understand. Then potpourri, a mixture of collection of seemingly unrelated items, like you are collecting unrelated items and you're mixing it. That is potpourri stand for. Then pastiche. Pastiche is a mixture or collection of let me tell you, okay, wait a minute, a variety of art, like it includes a variety of art, etc., that consists of variety of different styles, okay, so it actually includes different styles. It's also a collection, potpourri, pastiche, medley, these are the collections. But when it comes to patois, you need to understand the dialect of a particular region, okay, so it is known as a dialect of a particular region, but lower than the have low status in relation to the standard language of the country, okay, so that is patois. So the correct answer would be here D, patois, okay. Moving on to the question number 39. Wait a minute. Word tone is called. Word tone. Speak something and you'll realize. Accent. And sentence tone is called. If there is accent is in the right option, you need to understand the intonation is going to be accurately correct, okay, but still here you need to understand sentence tone is called intonation, word tone is called accent, and sentence tone is called intonation, okay, so the C is the correct answer. Moving on to question number 40. What does Philip Sidney in his essay, An Apology for Poetry, call peerless? So there is a word, this is not a word, a particular phrase, okay, so a peerless poet. Peerless poet. So from here you can get the answer, the correct answer is poet. Now still I'll deal this particular work. So it has another title, Defense of Poesy, okay, so Defense of Poesy is another title, so don't get confused. when you'll get another title, okay? And it was published in 1595. So you need to understand Stephen Gossan attacked a poetry. That is why Philip Sidney actually replied to his comments in defense of poesy or an apology for poetry. The same thing actually, the matter, the reason behind writing, okay? So it was published in 1595, that you need to know. The correct answer you got, right? Moving on to the question number 41. Victor Slowacki was a member of, and if you have watched my videos, you need to understand this. You need to know. Victor Slowacki, I have already discussed this, and it is a member of Russian formalism. The first one is the correct answer. I don't need to explain this to you. If you want to know better, you can watch my videos. Now, which among the following is not a Freudian concept? Freudian concept, okay? Overdetermination, sublimation, libido, condensation. So the only option that seems very much related to Freudian concept is libido, okay? Libido is the only concept here. So the correct answer is C, libido. Moving on to the question number 43. E.P. Thompson wrote what? These are the works. These are the options, of course. So before answering this type of question, you need to understand works and their writers, right? So if you don't know, you will get confused, of course. Marxism and Literature was written by whom? Raymond Williams. Raymond Williams. Then Culture and Society was also written by Raymond Williams. The Use of Literacy was written by Richard Hogarth. Okay, so these are the very important cultural study writers, okay, or theorists you can say, Hogarth. Then The Making of the English Working Class is of course written by E.P. Thompson, and that was published in 1963. Do remember this information. Moving on. The scene in which Leontio's mother plays at chess with Livia while in another room, the Duke effects his seduction of Bianca, occurs in the only work here. So by this question, this type of question, you need to understand some of the works you need to read deeply. Okay, you need to do what? You need to do those works, okay, or read those works in a deep way. Okay, so whether it's the Changeling, whether a game at chess or a chaste maid in Cheapside or Women Beware Women. So the correct answer is Women Beware Women. Even you don't know, you have not read Women Beware Women, if you know only the characters, you get to know, okay, this is going to be the correct answer. And it's a Jacobean tragedy. Jacobean what? Jacobean tragedy. And of course the writer is Thomas Middleton. And it was published in when? Middleton, and it was published in 1657. Wait, yeah, this. So the correct answer is D, Women Beware Women. Moving on to question number 45. Jeremy Collier, in a short view of the immortality and profaneness of the English stage, attacked. So it's a very easy question, and I have already discussed it. Whether it's romantic comedy, sentimental comedy, restoration comedy, or tragicomedy. Of course, it's a restoration comedy. So, okay, students. Now, the correct answer is C. Moving on to question number 46. The subtitle of Thomas Nass, The Fortunate Unfortunate Traveler is. We have already discussed university wits. Okay, in my previous lectures, you can get to know all of those information. Now, here. It's a very easy thing to identify, whether it's the life of Jack Wilton or Dido, Queen of Carthage, or Summer's Last Will and Testament, or Lenten Stuff. So the correct answer is the life of Jack Wilton. Of course, you already know the writer. Moving on to the question number 47. Charles Dickens' Hard Times mainly deals with. Charles Dickens' Hard Times mainly deals with. Okay, so Charles Dickens' Hard Times is a 10th novel, okay, written by Charles Dickens, of course, and is first published in 1854. And if you had read a single work of Charles Dickens, you need to understand what kind of problem he used to deal with in his works. Okay, so it's whether it's moral problems, religious problems, political problems, or social and industrial problems. Of course, the fourth one, social and industrial problems, because he actually satirizes the social and economic conditions of the era in hard Dickens. Sorry, not hard Dickens, hard times. Okay, so it was published in 1854. It's a 10th novel to remember these things. Now, moving on to the next question, question number 48. The Deconstructive Angel is an essay by. It's an essay, and it was written by whom? Whether it's Paul D. Mann, Barbara Johnson, M.H. Abrams, not Abrahams, okay, and or Jack Derrida. So the correct answer is M.H. Abrams, where we got stuck. Okay, so M.H. Abrams is the correct answer. Moving on to question number 49. What figure of speech has the poet used in the following line? Oh, death in life, the days that are no more. Okay, so see the options: parallelism, oxymoron, simile, or dead metaphor. So dead, it's not a metaphor because exaggeration is not here, and also the comparison is not here, so we will not consider that. Simile, because there is no there's no like and as here. Okay, so parallelism is of course not here. So oxymoron is here. Why? Because death, the two contradictory words, is at the same time together. Death and life, like you are talking about death, and at the same time you are talking about life. So it's a contradictory things. Okay, so it's an oxymoron. The correct answer is oxymoron. Moving on, question number 50. John Falls, the French lieutenant's women deals with. So the French lieutenant is written by John Falls, and you need to answer that it deals with what. Okay, see, it's a love story. Okay, it's a love story. The characters are Charles Smithson and Sarah Woodruff. And it's a Victorian work. Okay, so it's a Victorian love story. It is not degradation of post-war England, Elizabethan period, or England during Restoration period. It's a Victorian love story. Okay, so the correct answer is B. Moving on to question number 51. Who among the modern poets had an admiration for D.H. Lawrence's Lady Chatterley's lover? Who among the modern poets had an admiration, like the one who really liked it or admired this particular work? Whether it's Anthony Thwaites, or John Benjamin, or John Arden, or Philip Larkin. Guess set. Okay, so the correct answer is Philip Larkin. Don't forget it. It's a Philip Larkin. It's not a Philip Larkin, it's Philip Larkin. Okay, moving on to question number, which is 52 of course, which is not a sentimental comedy. Here, Love's Last Ship. It's a work by Cole Kibber, and it's a sentimental comedy. Okay, so you need to answer which is not the one. The Conscious Lovers. It's a work by Richard Steele, and it's also a sentimental comedy. So we will not consider this options, of course. Now the third one is False Delicacy. False Delicacy was written by Hugh Kelly, and it's also a sentimental comedy. But at the end, when we'll talk about The Rivals, it's a work by Richard R.B. Basically, R.B. Sheridan we call it, with the initials. Okay, and it's a comedy of manners. It's a comedy of manner, not a comedy of or sentimental comedy. Not. Why I'm repeating that? Okay, never mind. It's a comedy of manners. Okay, so the correct answer is The Rivals. Moving on to question number 53. Henrik Ibsen, who is held as the father of realism, belonged to. So from this question, this kind of question, you need to understand, okay, some of the basic idea of the writer's life you also need to have. So whether it's Italy, Germany, Norway, or Australia. Here you can say like N here, Henrik, or N here, Ibsen. So you can remember this way, that is the Norway is the correct answer. Okay, so you can relate some where or with something, so that you can remember it better. Now, which modern play is described as a play in which nothing happens twice? So, these are absurd plays, okay? Theatre of the absurd kind of plays. There's a Rhinoceros. Read it once, okay, so you'll like it. Look Back in Anger, Birthday Party, or Waiting for Godot. So, which is the particular work which is described as a play in which nothing happens twice, okay? So, have you read, or have you seen, sorry, Waiting for Godot? Actually, nothing happens twice. It's described as like that, but I don't think my viewpoint is different. But the correct answer is Waiting for Godot. Moving on. Who among the following was not a war poet? It's very easy. Whether it's Wilfred Owen, or Ivor Gurney, or Alice Meynell, or Edmund Waller. So these are war poets, but Edmund Waller is a lyric poet and it belongs to a different kind of genre or theme or whatever. Moving on to question number 56. Thus, though we cannot make our son stand still, yet we will make him run. Wow, so inspiring. Thus, though we cannot make our son stand still, yet we will make him run. These are the concluding lines of the options are to his coy mistress, or air angels. I think it's somewhere it's wrong. The options is then the sun rising, or death be not proud. Okay. So let me tell you, it's very easy to identify if you have read these poems, okay? So the first one, To His Coy Mistress by Enrio Marble. Of course, let me tell you the writer as well. Enrio Marble is the correct answer. Moving on to the question number 57, students. Away in the World is written by. It seems as if William Congreve has written it, because there is a work very similar to this title. But don't get confused, it's a work by V.S. Naipaul. By whom? V.S. Naipaul. It is a 1994 work. Moving on to question number 58, students. Which out of the following is the autobiography of Walt Soyinka? Okay. So, whether it's The Lion and the Jewel, You Must Set Forth at Dawn, or The Swamp Dwellers, or The Dance of the Forest. So, it's You Must Set Forth at Dawn. Colin. It's Colin. A Memoir. This is the correct answer. Okay, it's an autobiography of Paul Soyinka. Moving on to question number 59. Our Casuarina tree. I think when you'll prepare for NET, Maharashtra set will be easy for you, because this are simple questions. They don't ask deeper or deep questions. Okay, so our Casuarina tree reminisces about whose childhood days? It's a work of Toru Dutt. About whom it will talk? Of course, Toru Dutt, right? So the correct answer is Toru Dutt. Moving on to the question number 60, and of course our last but not the least question. So, How Do I Love Thee? A famous lyric composed by which of the following? The writers, or the options are Robert Browning, Alfred Tennyson, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, or Matthew Arnold. So, without even thinking, you can check the correct answer, Elizabeth Barrett Browning. C. The option is C. Now, we have completed today's lecture. We'll meet in the next lecture with another 30 or more questions in this section, 2021, September. Okay, paper 1. So, we'll meet soon. Thank you so much and all the very best.